States of
Recording
America,
in progress.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Wood.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Present.
Councilmember Crossman.
Here.
Councilmember Geiser. Here. Councilmember Hess.
Here.
Councilmember Palmer.
Here.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
Here.
Mayor DePinto.
Here. All right, moving on to agenda approval. Councilmember Wood,
I move we approve the agenda.
second by Councilmember Hess. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. We have an agenda. All right, moving on to special presentations. We have a special guest here tonight, our state representative, JT Wilcox. Representative Wilcox has been a representative since 2011, I want to say. Has served multiple roles, not just for us here in the second district, which includes Pierce County and now some of South Thurston County and Rainier, Tenino, and Dakota. But he also has served in leadership as the Republican leader for the House, which has been a very important role, but also been very helpful for us here in Yelm. And it's always good to have a legislator that's this is his home. So without further ado, the podium, gonna give a little certificate of appreciation for all the years of dedication. So thank you for that. And if you'd like to address council on anything that's been going on this past session or during your over a decade of service, love to hear it.
Well, thank you. Maybe I will. I guess the thing that I've told people over and over is that it's a real privilege not only to serve your neighbors, but to be able to do it in a way where you can be yourself. You can serve the people that you grew up with, serve the town that you went to school in, went to church in, went to Lions Club in. And that's not possible for most people. Politics, as all of you know, is hard and bitter now. But for me, it's been hard and bitter in moments, especially as House Republican leader during the COVID years, but never here in Yelm, and really not in the small towns that I've represented. It's hard to believe Yelm is the largest town that I represent. We've got people that think that they're very rural in Eastern Washington, and I think there's only one other district. This is kind of hard to follow, whose largest town is as small as Yelm still is. And representing these small towns where, you know, people still know each other and the small towns still have an identity is really a nice thing. But I was sort of talking about how politics has become, I never had to try to change who I was. And most people in politics have to do that at some point. Now, when you're not willing to you know, sort of be a different person in front of different crowds, maybe that makes some people unhappy, but you know, that's still the right way to do politics. And I'm sure for most of you, you've already seen that here. I talked about Yelm being a small town. It's way bigger than it used to be. I think we probably got a few people here that, or at least maybe in your crowd of thousands that are watching on TV, who remember when there was 4 stop signs. And that was it. And, you know, I have this vague memory that it was gravel, but I think that was just because they didn't maintain the road very well. It felt like gravel part of the town. But if I could leave you with a thought, I know I can't do politics here. Wouldn't be right. And I was scheduled through public resources. But I'm pretty sure that whoever replaces me is going to be good and is going to care about these small towns as well. And you were always nice enough, because I was in leadership positions 12 of the 14 years I was in the legislature. You were always nice enough to let me concentrate on the state of Washington without demanding that I be here a lot or that I just pay attention to the second district. I would ask you to be more demanding of the people that come after me. State representatives and senators, whether they're in the majority or the minority, can do more for their constituents maybe than has been expected by the second district. You've been smart enough to ask for a lot of things in the capital budget, and we've done pretty well with the capital budget. But there are other places that do even better. And so I would think really hard about planning ahead for capital budget items. And I would also be pretty outspoken if you have legislators that are not really representing your interests. I've served with people that I don't think really think that much about the feelings of the people that they represent. And, that shouldn't be an easy place for them. You folks should feel like you are independently elected officials as well, and you can express yourself when we're screwing up. And God knows that we screw up a lot. I've also thought a few times that I do the fun kind of politics. We have hearings and people stand up and tell us what they don't like. But it's not the intimate kind of setting that all of you have. And I've watched what happens sometimes in city council meetings and reflected on the fact that you don't get paid much. You can't go back and hide in an office. You're a part of a community, and people are sometimes not very appreciative of what you do. And I want you to know that I appreciate you. And I think there's a lot more people out there that don't speak up very much. But there's a growing sense that real public servants like all of you are, and I'm not just talking about the elected ones, I'm talking about the people that work here for the city of Yelm. I think there's more appreciation out there for you than is expressed, and I think that's growing. What I find is I get way more outspoken and don't feel like I've got to be on, just the R team. People are ready for folks that are not making ideology first. They're making their constituents first, and they're making their towns first. And I'm proud to have represented Yelm that has never been a feuding town and has always been one where I think they respect people that just do their job and do it right. So thank you everybody for this, and thank you for those 14 years, and keep doing what you're doing, please. Thanks.
All right, moving along to public comment. Is there anyone else from the audience that wishes to speak? Anyone online?
We don't have any hands raised online.
All right, we'll move on to our consent agenda, which is April 26th, 27th, special meeting minutes, May 7th, study session minutes, March 24th, check register and position summary, purchase of John Deere mower with 72-inch mowing deck, $39,000. Councilmember Hess.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second by Councilmember Wood. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Under new business, we have none. Under old business, we have none. Standing council committee reports, starting with public safety.
Haven't had a meeting. Nothing new to report.
All right, and public services.
Meeting today, so we talked about the mowing purchase we just approved. We discussed Longmire Park upgrades, so in July, we should be looking for a contract for the design work to fix up Longmire Park, because if anybody has kids that play sports there, they know that it gets kind of wet out there, so be looking for plans to redesign that park and to fix it up, and that'll be a long-term project for the city. It won't be all be done at once. It will be done over the years as budget allows. We did a recap, spring cleanup, went really well. We're going to expand that program next year, most likely. And then also, my chicken scrap. One of the things that they're trying to push into city transit to put more bus stops out, but getting some pushback from inner city transit about that. So that's in negotiation. And that's what we talked about.
Great, thank you. Finance committee.
No meeting.
All right, moving on to Mayor City Administrative Staff reports.
Okay, yeah, just a couple of things to update here. Let's start with the court. Our court administrator attended the annual Court Administrator Conference in Spokane, the first one they've had in person since 2020. So we went back there. We actually got recognized as one of the few cities for completing and processing all the documents associated with the Blake decision. So majority of cities are not, haven't caught up with that remedy of the Blake decision, and we have. So we got kind of called out in front of a large group of people. So that was very good. The chief and assistant chief attended WASPIC last week, which is the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs. They have 2 annual conferences a year. So they were back there last week in Spokane for that. They also were busy, obviously, last week assisting the county with the homicide, suicide that happened off of Old McKenna Road. They were pretty involved in that, obviously. In the world of HR, we continued negotiations today. It was half a day today. We got through that one today. And again, we're doing negotiations with AFSCME, Teamsters, and FOP union. So pretty busy schedule between now and the rest of the summer with those. From the IT world, we're about 80% complete on the implementation of Office 365. So that's going well. And it's working fantastic. Our own city clerk attended the International Clerks Conference with over 900 city clerks from around the world. Not just in the United States, literally from around the world. And her story about her new friend from Australia, who is 82 years old and still a city clerk in the whatever town in Australia. I don't know the town. He's still a feisty fella running that city. So anyway.
Kathy explained a lot more elegantly than that.
He did. Well, I'm trying to,
We're gonna have Kathy for a while is what I hear.
yeah.
Not that long.
Awesome experience for her. And then in the finance world, we are completing and filing our annual report today and tomorrow. So that was a big, big task from our finance world. And they're completing that report today and tomorrow. And Cody, do you have anything from public services?
No, I think you got
Splash Park.
Splash Park running, it opened this weekend. So yeah, Splash Park opened this weekend to hoots and hollers and rain. And then we had a nice day Monday. We're doing some maintenance on it today, but it'll be up and running again this weekend for all the good stuff. So
You see the parking lot obviously tore up.
Construction's going on with that.
What's that big hole where the parking lot along the roadside?
Where they're putting the
drain swell, yeah.
It's well, okay, that's what I thought.
There's only been, so the parking lot's going really well. They found an old well that was there that no one knew existed. So
I know, sir.
Tracy was here when it was built, so. Yeah, so we found a new well, but everything's going well, so it should be done on schedule. Nothing.
Do we get water rights from that well?
No. No one lives there.
Wasn't registered anywhere.
Besides that, though, Cody, is there any other projects that kind of got started a little bit? Maybe that Yelm Loop?
Yeah. So you may see work, so the Yelm Loop has semi-ly started. You may see work, they're moving utilities. So if you're a homeowner that's along the loop, you'll see PSE out there along with other different utility groups moving utilities out of the way of the loop. That's the first part before you lay the loop. Yes, the new loop. So that's the first thing they have to do before they actually start construction on the loop, which is more than they've ever done before. So that's a really good thing to look forward to is, hey, they're moving utilities, which means there's a good chance.
Is that the official name for it? Are we calling it the loop?
The
Is what it's.
Yelm Loop is what it's tagged. I like the bypass just because it's there, but it's Yelm Loop is the official.
Well, now loop indicates we're gonna go ahead and flip it around the other side.
That's the plan. I mean, hopefully that is. It's gonna be like a diamond shape, hopefully.
So we're excited about that. That's really good progress.
Car track around town. Yeah, just stop it.
For me, I attended the EDC meeting last week. One of the things that we discussed was the different comprehensive plans that the cities in the county are doing currently. And they're putting together kind of a wish list, I guess, what they think that would be the best for each city. I think they're doing it more as a kind of a template for all of us rather than just uniquely for Yelm or for Rainier, for whatever. So that should be coming out. Planner should be getting that here in the next couple of weeks. Other than that, yeah, negotiations been going. it can be challenging at times, but it's also good to make sure that we're taking care of the employees and the people that take care of this community. And yeah, I'm enjoying that process. Anything else, Todd?
I can't think of anything right now.
All right, moving on to council member reports, starting with Councilmember Wood.
I have had no meetings, so therefore I have no report.
Councilmember Richardson.
I got to meet with Jeannie. She's over there at the senior center. They are doing well. She's very excited about getting ready to pay off that whole loan there, that mortgage there. They're really close. And even to the point where she did the math, and I'm not sure how much, but she said if every current member pays $38, they could pay it off. So I'm not a member, but I took $38 and I said, here, just take it. Just help bring it down, So if anybody wants to give $38 to the senior center, help bring it down, feel free to. But she does, she reiterated over and over again that she feels so grateful for the support from the council and then even the city, and that they're doing very well. And really, when your senior center can say they feel supported, that's a huge deal. So good job on you guys.
Councilmember Crossman.
Nothing more.
Councilmember Kingheiser.
I've had no meetings.
Okay, Councilmember Hess.
Had a meeting on the 17th with the Intercity Transit Authority's planners, with our planners and engineers. It really, I felt was a good meeting. This is something that came out is that they are realizing how much we have grown and that there is a need for more services to come out here. And it's going to take some time. And so one of the things that I will be advocating with the Intercity Transit Authority, and hopefully we can do it with our comprehensive plan, is maybe developing roads, make sure that the arterial roads are marked appropriately for a 35 passenger bus system, and maybe laying a space off to the side that could be used as a transit center where all the 35 passenger buses can meet up with maybe bus 94 to then take people out of town. If we can, and it'll take years to develop. So that's why it's good to be able to put that into our comprehensive plan. And I'll be working with the ITA on that. They did also talk about and let us know about what the turn radiuses are needed for their buses. So if, and Director Colt, if I remember correctly, Tahoma Terra, they're not able to turn down that due to the fact that the U-turn is not appropriate for them at this time.
They didn't like the unprotected left turn.
Yeah.
And then with Legislator Wilcox leaving, he left, but I want to say that he's a great source of mentorship. I was always able to reach out to him for many years, talking to him about being public service. So it was good to see him, and want to make sure that the constituents understand he was always there in our corner.
Councilmember Wood, do you have something?
I'm just curious if he mentioned, Councilmember Hess mentioned that we are growing and that the Intercity Transit Board feels that we have a need for some more added services. I'm curious if by chance we can get a presentation from those folks to come in, maybe explain to us what research they're using and how they're coming up to this decision that we need more services out here.
Yeah, let's shoot for the August study session. If we can invite Intercity Transit, I know they like to give presentations to us so often. But yeah, let's try for that if that's reasonable.
And I will let at the next meeting this week, I'll let them know that. So.
Great. Councilmember Richardson.
Well, we brought this to my attention on how similar Councilmember Hess and Wilcox just look so similar. So I just want to, they look very professional.
Very good. Anything else, Councilmember Hess?
Nothing else at this. Want to thank the various VSOs out there for what they did at the various cemeteries for Memorial Day, and with First Group, our community, the military unit that we as a community support. They, as always, added a new name on the wall, and it was good to meet up with some old friends.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Palmer.
No committee meetings to report on, but I had two things from constituents. The fence along 507 at the city park, if they were wondering where we're at, maybe in that planning, because I guess kids running around has become a problem, so.
We've discussed it before. Cody, do you want to talk a little bit about?
Yeah, we discussed before, the plan is to add it into the budget for the next year and put it up next year. So
Next year, perfect.
we don't have a budget for it this year, but yeah.
Next year, all right, perfect. And
Do
then,
we have any idea what that cost would be?
We're getting some initial quotes and it's different. We're probably gonna do split wood. We're thinking like the old one that used to be by the parking lot. So it's not super impaired or not, not impassable, but it still stops kids from running through. And so quotes range in different varieties. So we're just trying to lock down a really good number. I don't want to give you a number now because in a year it could totally go away depending on. Yeah, so.
You say super high.
Yeah, it is a higher number than we have in the budget.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
Could I request, Cody, that you get a variety of bids on different materials because wood fences fall down very quickly, no matter how small they are. They just deteriorate. So that's not necessarily the best long-term solution.
we're talking about like an aluminum wrought iron style. My parents put one in the deck. It looks really nice,
Something you can see through that's elegant.
but affordable.
Yeah. We'll look at a lot of different options.
Okay, anything else, Councilmember Palmer?
Yes, as you know, my mom was a teacher and she retired from Yelm School District, and she brought to my attention some of the school staff members' concerns. And they were wondering if there was any way that we could lean on the state in any capacity, since they're in contempt of the Constitution and the McCleary decision, if there's any sort of teeth that we have with our own city attorney on that.
No, so I don't think so. As far as maybe lobbying or something, that could be something we could request. The legislature consider other alternatives to funding schools. I think one thing is the bond limit, reducing that from 60% requirement to maybe a 50%. Other than that, I think we'd have to probably have a conversation with the schools, what exactly we could help lobby for. And then in that sense, yes, we could potentially do that. We'll be going over some impacts here to us during the budget cycle, and if there are any, and we'll be moving forward with it though, moving through it. Perfect. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Councilmember Kaminsky.
I had a fascinating meeting with the Nisqually River Council this week or last week. They're excited. There's a school in Ashford called the Columbia Crest A-STEM Academy. I'd never heard of it, but it is moving forward and it's going to be a why?
I used to teach there.
You did?
Columbia Crest, yeah.
A good school.
Very good. Yeah.
Nice. Well, you'll be interested to know they're going to convert that into a nature school. So I didn't know what that was exactly. So I looked it up, and I read this quote. I thought it was so cute. They're going to put the garden back in kindergarten. So in these schools, the itinerary is all cycled around being outside and integrating nature and everything in the outdoors with science, math, English, whatever it is. So it's very focused on
That was funny with the kindergarten.
nature. I know, isn't that cute?
It's cute.
Well, it's true, because kids are so devoid of the real world through our technology. I'm not gonna look that way. Technology, I mean, it's a good thing. So, and the good thing is gonna happen next year. Really fast. So, we're talking about that.
Could you give me the spelling on garden in kindergarten?
Then we had a presentation by the USGS Volcano Services, US Geological Survey people. These are all fun facts. I'm sure you know them, but I'll give you a review of important volcano facts. Okay, so there are 160 plus active volcanoes in the US, of which 8 are in our area. And the most active one is, of course, Mount St. Helens and then Rainier. And the hazardness of a volcano has to do with not only the area and the mountain itself, but how many people, with the population that it affects. So greater the population, the greater hazard it's considered. So there's been an average of 2 eruptions per century in the Cascade Mountains here. 11 eruptions in the last 3,000 years. And the last one was 1,000 years ago. So the most hazardous part of the mountain is, of course, in the national park. And I think they're just having their 125th anniversary of Mount Rainier National Park. That was interesting. So the 2 main hazards of a volcano are, number 1, ash, And they did show us a picture of what the ash would look like in our area should the mountain blow. And yeah, it's dusty and everything, but they said it's not a huge ash volcano for some reason. And the most it would do if you were in the ash is like shut down your car engine. But you could still breathe, you could still see. So that was an interesting photograph they had. And the second and most important thing are the lahars, which are the volcanic mud flows. And so they said that there's 90,000 people that live in our lahar hazard zone. And I don't know if this is still true, but when I was on the planning commission, John Thompson knew a lot about the lahars. And he said at that time that I guess where we are now, in his opinion, the lahar would not cross the Nisqually River and go up the slope into the Yelm area. That's what he said at the time. I don't know if that's still true. Is that true? Yeah. So we're safe from the lahars. The west side of the mountain is the most unstable. And of course, the lahars create all the landslides. And if there was a landslide lahar, it would take, from the top of the mountain, it would take 20 minutes to get to Ashford. So it's pretty darn fast. And 60 minutes to get to Ording. And that's the dangerous side over there toward Puyallup. And Mount Rainier has a couple of earthquakes per week. But an earthquake is not necessarily connected with volcanic activity. It can happen at the same time, but it's not, one's not an effect of the other. And then we had a gentleman come to speak about the glaciers, and he was from the park itself. I didn't know this, there are 29 named glaciers on our mountain. A couple of them have totally disappeared. The glacier retreats 3 inches every 10 days. And from 1896, when they started measuring, to last year, 2023, the glaciers are down 50% in their volume. And the glaciers are important not just for water, but they literally hold the mountain together. Because once it melts, landslides just crumble the whole mountain. There is 150 inches of snow at Paradise, which is down 30 to 40%. And even though the glacier levels are changing, not to be scared about climate change or anything else, he assured us that we will still have glaciers on Mount Rainier for the next 100 years. That's my report.
Thank you for the report. All right. Anything else for the good order? On that one, we have no executive session. Need a motion to adjourn. Second by Councilor Kaminsky. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. We're adjourned.